You are Locked On Hawkeyes, your daily podcast on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome in. I'm Trent Condon, and this is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast, a live edition here at the half as the Hawkeyes trail Iowa State 13-10. And a first half that had a little bit of everything. Early on, Iowa couldn't get their offensive footing. It was run, run, pass, punt. Run, run, pass, punt. And they tried the same sequence again, and it worked and got a first down. But Iowa started to settle in a little bit, got the call that went their way, the muff punt by Iowa State. That wasn't the call. It was correct that it did hit off the wrist of the Iowa State player before hitting off of Zach Lutmer. However, saying that he was blocked into the returner, that was a little bit shaky there. But overall, I was able to get it done. And then that final drive where we see a little bit of everything as it was Jazion Patterson started to get them going a little bit. That was absolutely excellent to see what he was able to do there. Also seeing the ability of Gronowski using his legs a little bit more, made a couple of good passes in there and improvising on that throw as he was able to roll out and finally find Jacob Gill. You know, those are the kind of plays that are going to be there. And with the coverage and the way that Iowa State normally plays, that's going to be there a whole bunch. So overall, I just think an opportunity here for this Iowa team that played poorly for really long stretches, had not just offensively, but also defensively, some inefficiency out there, some major problems. You're left saying they're right there. A game that on the scoreboard easily could look a lot different than what it is. And here we are with the chance. Now, things need to be cleaned up. And certainly Gronowski needs to be even more crisp. I think there were some good moments on the drop pass by Jacob Gill on the RPO. Can't afford that. I'm an absolute bullet. Maybe his best throw of the game came on that one, and it resulted in a drop pass. So everybody needs to be buttoned up. Everybody has to be ready to go. The interception, look, Weegan fell down, but they're also sitting on that route, right? They've been sitting on that, waiting for that. And until Iowa can stretch the field, it's going to have to be methodical. It's going to have to be like the final scoring drive, 17 plays, 85 yards. And to be able to do that in the second half 2, maybe 3 times, that's asking a lot out of this offense to basically have to be perfect that many times throughout the course of the second half. Have to love the spot you're in right now, though. Being thoroughly outplayed, I thought maybe one of the more disappointing aspects of the first half was not that you're getting beat or not that you're not playing well. It was at times the physical domination that we've seen from Iowa State on both lines. Now that cleaned up again as the game progressed and as the second half went, but I think that's something that I certainly didn't anticipate that you were going to see. So as we look at the second half of this game and as we look at what we believe is going to happen here in the second half, Iowa State's going to have to start with the ball. And after those shaky moments I mentioned early on, that final drive, all right, there was a pass interference, there was a double move, and they made play. Now, I thought that ball was uncatchable and it should have been defensive holding as opposed to pass interference. That aside, great tackle in space to finish things off by Lutmer. Jaden Harrell has had some shaky moments, but also has come out, I thought, made a couple of nice plays, punching that ball out. Nearly got a fumble recovery inside the 20 there. It's just, I was right there. And we can be frustrated and upset, and there's plenty to be upset about. But until the final gun, we're going to sit here and we're going to try to be optimistic because this easily could have gone the other way. This easily could be a game that we're talking about in a completely different context. And yet here we are. Gronowski finishes the first half, 10 of 19 passing, 48 yards, had that interception, was also sacked one time. Jazion Patterson came in all on that final drive, 4 carries, 25 yards, 6.3 yards per carry. Xavier Williams also with his best run of the day on that, his long, as he was able to pound forward on that one. Of course, Gronowski with the touchdown, 6 carries, 17 yards. Sacks are a part of that in the rushing total. Jacob Gill, 4 for 30, and could have been even more if he would have hung on to the RPO. Sam Phillips, there he is. Had a catch. Let's get him more involved. Sam Phillips has the speed. And if you're listening to the television broadcast, you've heard Joel Klatt mention this many times. Iowa has to do something to stretch the field. Addison Strenga, he's not going to be out there. And Ortworth is more of your down the field kind of guy. Maybe it's up the seam with Ortworth. That's a possibility. You can do something like that. Obviously, the speed of Sam Phillips, you'd love to see it. Seth Anderson, he's got some wheels, but you have to take a shot. You can't compress everything together within 15 yards of the line of scrimmage and just hope it works. That is part of the second half here. And we'll see. Maybe Tim Lester had some things that he was doing in the first half that was setting up plays for the second half. And he talked a lot about this, in different interviews that Lester did throughout the course of the season back during the summertime. He mentioned that a couple of different times. Let's hope that that's the case. They have a couple of things in their back pocket for the second half of the game. Clean it up. Don't get silly penalties like Iowa State did late in the half. Iowa got one early with Weechin Woofin to begin the ball game. Iowa can't afford that. You don't have to be perfect, but let's be clean in the second half and hang around. And as we know, weird things can happen inside this building. One way or the other, I'll be back with you after this one wraps up. We will bring you a rapid reaction podcast here on Locked On Hawkeyes. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe right now. That'll let you know when we go live right after the game. We will have you covered here and whenever a new episode comes out. We are your daily source of Iowa Hawkeye talk each and every day. Daily Hawkeye content all throughout the course of the week, Monday through Friday, every single day. I have a new podcast for you. A lot of different people jumping in, a lot of different things to go. Make sure to hit us up. Before we hit end on this one, we got some comments coming in. Let's jump in there. I think we'll hang in there and dial up a big play. Scott Moss with that one. Yeah, absolutely. Typical CyHawk says, Gabe Gronowski looks a little better this game. He does look better. Not great, but a little bit better, and certainly better as this game has progressed. Have to hang on to the ball. Absolutely. Drops. Gabe brings that up as well. Are they still playing vanilla? Yeah, Scott, that was one of the things that we talked about before things began, and now I kind of left wondering, maybe this is just what they're dialing up for this season. Let's hope that's not the case anyway. Scott talks about throwing deep, as we talked about a little bit earlier. O-line, that's from Taken. Yeah, the O-line starting to impose their will. They were struggling early on. Loved what we saw in the touchdown run. If you saw on the right side of the corner of the screen when they showed the replay, is Jennings Dunker just mixing it up with Dom Orange, and they were wrestling and fighting in there. A couple of the best in the game going at it, and Dunker, he had the best of that one. Let's see what they can do. Get it going. Lousy group of wide receivers from David. Let's hope that's not the case. Need to get more out of that group if I was going to make this push forward and get it done. Cyclones will start with the football. They will get it first. I'll be back with you with a post-game reaction. Again, hit that subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube, and we'll talk to you after the game. Let's get it done. Let's make it 7 in a row, and let's just ruin the hopes and dreams of our neighbors in Ames. We'll talk to you after the game. Until then, go Hawks.